social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you're on 88.5 Super FM, talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Super FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
And of course, if it's a Monday between the hours of 10 and 11, Casualty 911 is on. Hey, we are 5 minutes after the hour of 10. Welcome inside another edition of Casualty 911. It's the 8th of the 8th. Wow, 8th of the 8th, eh? Of course, she's here with us this morning. No stranger here. Miss Wilson. You've been MIA for a bit, missing in action. But you're back. It's nice to have you back here with us inside the morning program, Casualty 911. Okay? And of course, for somebody just tuning in this morning, just before you say good morning, what does Casualty 911 entail?
Okay, good morning, everybody. Casualty 911 entails speaking about various health topics, educating the public about various health topics, creating awareness among our community members, and so on. Casualty 911 seek to bring the information across to persons within our community, by extension, island-wide, about various services that are offered within our health systems, and how best they can get these services, and sometimes what is the cost to these services. Casualty 911 tend to encourage people. It's always about prevention, encouraging persons to seek medical advice when they are feeling ill, unwell, and so on. So, and also it's a holistic approach.
True.
It is the mental, social well-being of all our persons within our communities, our loved ones, and so on. So Casualty 911 in a nutshell is all about prevention and bringing information out to the public.
Wonderful. Keeping the public abreast as to what's trending, what's happening.
Very much so.
Nice. So this morning, the 8th of the 8th, what is our topic?
Our topic today is breastfeeding. I know many people are quite acquainted with breastfeeding. Erlan, are you acquainted with breastfeeding?
Well, when you say acquainted, I'm not even, but I know about it.
You know about it.
Yes.
So tell me what you feel about breastfeeding. Give me, since a while ago you tell me what about Casualty 911. So tell me what you, as a parent, as a father, give me your perception about breastfeeding.
Well, I know that's where the mothers give to the offspring, the younger ones, the milk. And of course, it is better than what we go to purchase at the various stores. I know some persons have some nice names to go ahead with the brand of the milk and all that, But I think the last I checked on the government of St. Lucia page, it is a whole lot better to breastfeed your offspring, your young ones, with your milk. Yeah, breastfeeding says it all.
So tell me, what do you observe about the children when they're breastfeeding?
I'm going to have to go. With all the nutritional values and all that from the parent, as long as you as a parent taking care of yourself, after all, you have an offspring, you have a child, so come to think of it, you love yourself like you love your child, oh?
That is true.
There you go again.
And remember, when the children are breastfeeding, they always have their legs right up.
There you go again. Happy mood, happy life. You understand? And I think breastfeeding is breastfeeding week, right?
Yes, it is.
There you go again.
Well, it was breastfeeding week from August 1st to August 7th. And one of the things that we do is encourage mothers to breastfeed. I know a lot of people have issues. Especially young women. They believe when they breastfeed that their breast is going to sag. But look at the benefits. Like a what?
A reef.
Like a reef?
It's okay.
I do not know that term.
The sleeper is a reef.
Like a reef slipper? Oh, it gets flat. Yeah. Well, yes, for a little while, but after a while, when you start boosting up your system and exercising, you know?
But I like to see when them kids actually latch it on the breast, eh?
Yeah. It's really, really nice. So, one of the things is that a lot of mothers, they have difficulty in breastfeeding. You know, especially when the children first start latching, they don't latch properly, and all these kind of issues that they have. Some of the parents, they enjoy breastfeeding their children, and it has so many health benefits as well as economic benefits for a mother. So today we're speaking about breastfeeding and the positive sides of breastfeeding and how best, you know?
Yeah, because
I mean, try your best to breastfeed. Don't think of, at first it's not easy, but as time goes by, it becomes better. I know a lot of persons complain of the sleepless nights because you have to breastfeed the child every how many hours, and it prevents you from sleeping. But in the end, it is to the child's benefit as well as to the mother's benefit.
Because I think I read an article where it says that our breastfeeding here in St. Lucia is very low.
Really?
Yes, on the government of St. Lucia page, if you can check it out on the Facebook page, and I think they're having some workshop to encourage persons or educate persons of the importance of breastfeeding. Yes.
That is so right, because the person who engaged in the workshop is coming on the program today. She's just running a little bit late.
Okay.
And
nice.
I know a lot of mothers that breastfeed, but I did not know that the numbers were so low.
Is it Shirley and Edward that's going to be here?
Very much so.
Okay.
Ah, so you're keeping a breast, Erland. I'm impressed. Oh my God. I'm really, really impressed. So
I gotta do what I gotta do.
you've got to do what you've got to do. So let me just say a few things about breastfeeding. I can speak of my own personal experience before Shirley comes in. As a mother, at first my experience was it wasn't an easy one because I did not know how my daughter could latch onto the breast properly. And then, you know, I got the split nipples, sores around the nipple.
So it's a bit painful.
Very painful. Because all the time I thought she was latching on the breast properly and she wasn't latching on. So after a while, you know, you have to put that hot compress on the breast and so on. I had to do all of that, but eventually it got easier. So I continued breastfeeding her. I can tell you, for me, waking up to breastfeed the child, it was very difficult, especially for a mother, a working mother. And one of the things that fathers and other family members need to understand, after the 6 weeks with the child, you start working. Yes, you can pump and so on, but the bond you have with the child whilst breastfeeding is so important that you tend to breastfeed rather than pumping out the milk and so on, especially during the night. So, you know, I was breastfeeding during the night, falling asleep on the child, and so on. At times, I think once she fell off the bed, because I think I put her on the wrong side of the bed. And thank God, I must admit, nothing happened to her because I was so exhausted. She fell off the bed, she was crying, and her father picked her up. Bottle fed her, and then put her back to sleep. And lo and behold, I mean, I was so exhausted, I knocked out clean. So I didn't even hear the child crying. And after a while, I think I jumped out of that sleep. And then, you know, both the father and child are looking at me. And so I said, the child must be hungry. And he told me, no, I just gave the child a bottle.
and the child fell off the bed. So, you know, and as a nursing mother, sometimes your hormones are still so active. I started crying because, you know, anything could have happened to the child because I was so exhausted because I'm working, taking care of the house as well as taking care of the child. And, you know, I started crying, and then lo and behold, it told me, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And then I still put the breast, you know. Some children are really, really greedy little children. I still gave her the breast. She took some and she fell asleep. And afterwards, I knocked out clean. I mean, this is just one experience just to show you some of the difficulties that breastfeeding mothers go through. And with the right support, especially from the fathers, the spouses, and so on, it can be so much easier for mothers, especially if they help around the house and so on. And from then on, she continued breastfeeding, and so on. But one of the things that a lot of us need to understand is, or people need to understand, like Erland said, some of our breasts tend to be like reefs. And that's one of the issues I had, because I was so accustomed of having small and perky breasts.
That's stiff like a pyramid.
Well, that too. And then after breastfeeding, you know, gravity kind of bring the breast down, because different people, different experiences. Some people, their breasts stay the same way. And so on. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to do a breast lift or something. And you know, I seek medical advice to get a breast lift at that time because
let me ask you,
I could not deal with it.
With a medical lift, is that being done surgically or what?
Yes, surgically a breast lift, because I still wanted the breast a little perky still.
You want it stiff like a pyramid.
Yes. So I didn't want it to be like a reef. So, you know, the psychological effect and so on. There is so many different aspects of it, and some parents, I can tell you, they enjoy it. They do everything, but some persons, they find it very challenging, and that's where they need the support for breastfeeding.
And I think there's persons with, when you make mention of challenges, there's children, they tend not to drink the bottle.
Yeah.
Everything about them is the breast. If they're not latched onto it. Or another thing again, a while ago you made mention of that. I don't know if it's a device or equipment being used to actually suck out the milk from the tits.
The breast pump.
Yes. Is that have you used it before? You know persons who've using it.
I use it quite a bit.
Are you knowledgeable about?
I use it quite a bit. There are different pumps available. Some of them might be more comfortable. At first, you might get a little discomfort, but after a while, it becomes easier for you.
So let me ask you a question. Does it mimic a child?
Well, no. Well, to some extent, you know, but it's not the same, because once you have the child latch on the breast, there is that bonding, and there is that feeling, you know, you get. It's undescribable compared to a pump where you just pump out the breast and the milk and so on. That's just something you have to do. Yeah. But it does not compare with you having your child, and your child is looking at you in the middle of the eye whilst breastfeeding, you know, or giving you that little smile, or when they start teething, biting your nipple, where they see you screaming and they smile or laugh and so on, and you give them a little tap.
Like you said, that bond.
That bond is so different, honestly. And that's what we want mothers to do, is the bonding. It's something that, unless you don't experience it, you will not know what it is. Now, some persons cannot breastfeed because of medical reasons, and we need to understand that also, Ulan. Because if you have certain
underlying
illnesses and so on, there are times you just cannot breastfeed the child, or you have to breastfeed the child way after, and so on. But people need to understand these things so that in future, when somebody tells them that they're not breastfeeding their child, for them to think twice before they can, you know,
make a comment,
exactly. Because a lot of people say, oh, pas avec l'estomac ou croisé, ou pas avec tes tombé. But sometimes it's just not that. Sometimes you have the issues about, the child not taking the breast, or the child doing this, the child not doing that, or you sick and you cannot breastfeed. You understand? So people need to understand these things.
I like you brought that up. Let me ask you a question. How often does a baby need to be breastfed? And of course, the period, how long?
Well, you can breastfeed the child every 4 hours. I mean, when you have a newborn, you have to continue breastfeeding your child. And the other thing is, you can breastfeed the child up to 2 years. But after the 6 months period, if you want to introduce other foods to the child, you can do that.
2 years?
Yes, but then exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months is recommended.
Yes.
So, and then, they said you have to initiate breastfeeding at least 1 hour after giving birth. So, sometimes these things, I mean, when you just give birth, my God, for persons that have surgery and so on, and then, within that hour, sometimes it can be very challenging to give, to breastfeed the child. And sometimes the nurses give you the child and they want you to breastfeed the child, but sometimes your body is so worn out, tired, and so on. It's difficult. It becomes very challenging. But some people have it easy. They just go through the process like normal. You understand?
True.
So, which is a good thing. But like I said, everybody have their different challenges. Breastfeeding is very, very good for the child because of the benefits. I don't want to be saying so many things, because Sheldon will be coming and say so many things. So it is so good that the benefits of breastfeeding outweighs everything else.
You can say a lot, because when she comes, she just reiterate.
That is true. Let me just say that
Go ahead.
Let me just say that there are times when you first start breastfeeding the child, it makes it very, very, very difficult, and you might not know that the child have not latched onto the breast properly. So there are a few signs of good breast latching. So the lips, especially the bottom lip, is curled back around the breast. So let me not use my breast as an example. So when the child comes and then the child puts the lip on the breast. Hold on,
You were saying?
I think she's lost.
All right.
So we're going to take a short break. Sorry about that. And then we'll go back to...
All right, folks. So keep it locked. We're going to be back with some more. All right?
88.5 Sufra FM presents Let's Connect every Tuesday from 5:30 p.m. with your host, Reniata D'Souza. Also live on Facebook. Be sure to tune in as we present you with updates on local activities, events, businesses, initiatives, and upcoming opportunities for all. Let's connect every Tuesday right here on Sufra FM and online. Don't miss it.
You asked for more live and relevant talk shows, and we heard you. 88.5 Sufra FM presents House Guest, a brand new fresh fortnightly feature airing on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. House Guest will showcase a cadre of professionals, from doctors and entrepreneurs to the next door friendly neighbor. So tune in as we network the community with a platform for open, frank, and informative discussion. Only on Sufra FM, your community radio station.
Are you hosting an event? Want to capture the crowd? Whatever it is, make 88.5 Sufra FM your choice for advertising. The only community radio station on island which offers affordable advertising and promotion cost, which in no doubt will meet your budget with a guaranteed market. Our objectives are founded on being able to provide a voice for the marginalized, a platform that facilitates the free and open flow of information, the promotion of democracy within the media world, and the education of the populace through specifically tailored programs. Call us at 459-7200 or 731-4833. 88.5 Sofa FM, your voice, your light.
Mamay Soufouye, Conseil Jacques, Bouton, Choiseil, Laboui, Koute pour yon CG, Assou, Station Radio Sala, tous les jeudis pour Agricole en Mouvement et puis Philippe Sydney. Programme Sala qu'a indiqué, par information à tout projet agricole, pêche et puis l'autre CG. Changer, c'est Agricole en Mouvement, tous les jeudis, Koute Mamay la, Koute.
It just désire pour arriver au mot bonheur quand
Well, on a CPD ou ça continue pour quitter bonheur.
So dis-moi, combien d'argent on fait pour moi ça?
Well, moi boss là pour moi $2,500.
$2,500 autant l'argent quand?
C'est ça même vous donnez.
So quand on met l'argent, quand on banque l'argent, qui ça on va faire tout l'argent ça caille là?
Pour ça moi même aller en banque. On est-ce qu'à mettre l'argent en bas couche moi, en bas cabane pour moi c'est oui.
Un bas cabane? Mettez l'argent dans coopérative là.
Cooperative? What is this?
Michael, bakay do en patron, bakay do en anglais. You will have to tune in to 88.5 Soufre FM every last Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for Cooperative Matters. Cooperative Matters will be hosted by Jonalia Lamontine and will entail information regarding the Fontainebleau Credit Union, such as the benefits of being part of a credit union, distinguishing shares and deposits, applying for loans, indemnity plans, and all other matters relating to the credit union. Listeners can also call us at 459-7885 or 459-7888 to ask their questions relating to the credit union. Only on 88.5 Super FM, your radio station of
10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Super FM, talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Super FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
And of course, we have 28 and a half minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock. Welcome inside Casualty 911, the Monday's edition. Of course, it's the 8th of the 8th. I don't know why I like it this morning, but the 8th of the 8th. Okay? Of course, our guest is here. Let me allow Miss Wilson to introduce the guest.
Erland. A while ago, you mentioned Sherlan's name. I was so impressed.
Yes.
I thought you would be the one introducing Sherlan. But however, I will just allow Sherlan to introduce herself to our listeners this morning. Sherlan, go right ahead.
Thank you, Louisa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sherlan Edward. I am a family life educator in the Ministry of Health and also a nutritionist.
So, Sherlan, well, we were waiting for you because I told everybody you were running late. So I'll just pass the baton to you. Like you said, you've been hearing me on the radio.
Oh, she was listening?
Yeah. So I was giving my experience and so on. So I will allow you to do your thing and then, off and on.
Well, just before she jumps inside, I wanted to talk about knowing that the Ministry of Health commemorates Breastfeeding Week. So tell us some more about that.
Great. Louisa, you did exceptionally well.
Thank you.
I listened and it actually took me here, so I am going to continue. It's a global celebration. It's an observance globally that UNICEF, WHO, and all the other agencies celebrate breastfeeding. Breastfeeding month is usually celebrated from the 1st to the 7th of August every year. And every year there's a theme attached to it. And this year the theme is Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. So in line with what Louisa was saying, based on her challenges, the support, we try to put in the support this year because we realize that it's not just the skill of breastfeeding, but support is needed to continue breastfeeding.
Nice. And of course, empowering women.
That's right.
That's very good. Good vibe. Go ahead, Louisa.
Go ahead, Shilon.
Okay, so like I said, World Breastfeeding Week is a global campaign, and it is really to raise awareness of why breastfeeding matters. And we also take into account the challenges that mothers face, because we realize that mothers need the support, not just to educate them, but to give them that support to continue breastfeeding. We also wanted the days also recognized to strengthen the capacity of the different advocates. So I consider myself a breastfeeding advocate.
True.
There are different actors like the governments, we have the private sector, we have all the health systems. So everyone comes on board to strengthen the capacity to bring breastfeeding to where it's supposed to be. Breastfeeding, like Louisa said, is a beautiful thing. And the more experience that you have, the more experience you'll be in terms of being an advocate to your peers, to persons who are going through challenges. And we know that persons will have challenges. Like she said, some persons do it so naturally and they have nothing. But some persons, they go through challenges. And we see health professionals even talking and saying, yes, I speak about breastfeeding, but it was a challenge for me. So we know there is a challenge, but nonetheless, we are here to support, to educate, and to promote the importance and the benefits that breastfeeding brings.
I see you guys have on the page, as you all at the ministry realize your numbers for breastfeeding are very low. How did you guys come, or was some kind of census was conducted? How did you guys reach at that?
Well, with the Ministry of Health, we conducted it's called a MICS survey.
Or a survey.
A survey. It's not just for the Ministry of Health, it's just for St. Lucia.
Okay.
And we realized that, yes, breastfeeding is initiated, means that when a mother gives birth, the person who is attending to her might say, breastfeed, put the child to the breast. So early initiation, we could say our numbers are full for early initiation, but the continuation of breastfeeding, which is when a person gets out of the health setting into the environment, we realize the numbers are going down because that's when the trouble starts. The person don't have that support. So the numbers are low because we propose exclusive breastfeeding from 0 to 6 months without any water, any juice, any food. And that's what the numbers are supposed to mean, that exclusive breastfeeding, the numbers are not very high for exclusive breastfeeding.
Okay, because I was about to ask you, from what point, if it's after 3 months off, but since you said from 0 to 6 months, okay.
0 to 6 months.
I feel somebody want to make a guys, if you want to make a contribution, remember you can call me at 730-5388 or 459-7885, or if you can't get through the line, you can call me on my personal phone, because I know there's persons who send me message in regards to breastfeeding. There's persons actually saying to me that the SBA is based on breastfeeding as well.
Nice.
So yes.
Nice.
So yes, if you guys, again, if you want to make a contribution, you can call me on my personal phone, same speed, and of course I might just put you on. I'll just put you on. Okay, so you can make your contribution. Anyways, moving along.
So I wanted to speak a little about exclusive breastfeeding and early initiation of breastfeeding. The reason why we need breastfeeding to be initiated early, as soon as the mother, even before the mother delivers, we need that persons at our antenatal clinics, meaning the wellness centers around the island, that everybody who's on board in terms of the staff speaks breastfeeding, so that a mother can understand before she gives birth the importance of breastfeeding. And that is crucial for the survival of the child, because that's the best nutrition a child can get when the child is born. So if a mother understands they're giving the baby the best part of the nutrition, they too can be on board as a person who is aware. And even though that they go into the environment, they can understand that, okay, that information I get, I have made a decision to breastfeed, and this, regardless of the environment, I will educate other persons around me as to my decision. It prevents a lot of childhood illnesses, infections, childhood obesity in general, diabetes, high blood pressure. Research shows that when a child is breastfed exclusively from birth to 6 months without putting food or water, anything on that child's system, that child have enough time to develop and grow properly. So there's no stunting, because what happens is that if a child is fed too early in terms of the food that the system cannot tolerate, the child develop differently to a child who's breastfed exclusively. Not that the child will die, it's just that the development is different.
Now, you know, it's a cultural thing for us in the Caribbean, especially St. Lucia folk. That's one if my me come see me here with. You understand? You understand? Or you 7, you 8 months already. Look at mango, or they introduce you to fruits. They introduce you the children to the kids to a lot of things. Again, like I've been mentioning, it's a cultural thing here.
That is true, and we cannot. I mean, I always tell my clients at the clinic, we cannot be too harsh on the persons around us, because we need the support.
Okay.
We need the support. We just educate them. And if a mother makes the decision to breastfeed and she's passionate about it, the persons around her can become passionate about it. So that if when they come with these little cultural things, or times pass that, okay, by the time the child was a certain age, we started introducing foods because the information was not there at that time, you just educate the persons around you so that they too can help you, because you need a lot of support during that time.
Now, I want to ask you another question in regards to breastfeeding again. What if this individual has had a family history of breast cancer? Okay, let's see, God forbid, but let's see. Or that person who knows maybe battled breast cancer and maybe afterwards got pregnant. Is it allowed for this individual to actually breastfeed that child?
Well, in terms of if the breast has any abscess, or if the breast has any mass, or the doctor instruct because of the nature of the breast, the changes in the breast, that they would not allow the person to breastfeed, well, that's accepted. But if the person, by their physician, has no issues with their breastfeeding, based on where, because the milk is in ducts, and the baby has to suck for that milk to come out. If there's no obstruction or anything that prevents that mother from breastfeeding, the physician will not discourage that mother from breastfeeding.
Upon when the baby has been born, how long does that milk stays in there?
So the milk is actually produced when the baby starts. Well, milk starts to produce from the time the mother is pregnant.
Right.
It's called colostrum, and as the baby sucks, the milk starts to mature. But the milk is in ducts, and when the baby sucks, the milk is extracted from the breast. So the milk stays in until the baby decides to stop breastfeeding, because as the baby stops, the production stops. So the baby sucking, and the action of sucking, and the mother hormones and everything produces that milk. So when the baby decides to stop, it won't stop right away, because the mother it's still going through that time. But if the baby stops, say 3 years, I've seen children breastfeeding 3 years. Children breastfeed 4 and 5 years. What? So the milk production goes on. And it's...
So Louisa, that's not for your boyfriend?
I don't even know why. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen parents that children are in kindergarten, and they still come and breastfeed their child during kindergarten. But I mean, these are exceptional mothers, because there is no way our majority mothers might decide to do such.
Why?
Yeah, there's some children in kindergarten, and the parents still come and breastfeed.
Is that like a bad habit or something?
No, it's not a bad habit.
No, we encourage with WHO and UNICEF and all the other agencies that support breastfeeding. We say that a child's supposed to be breastfed from 0 to 6 months, like I said. And by that time, the 6 months, we started doing what you call complementary feeding, because the child nutritional needs are more, the energy requirement is more. So we add foods, but we don't stop breastfeeding. It's complementing still breastfeeding. So you're complementing the diet with food, but you're still breastfeeding the child for 2 years and beyond. Because we see people, I have known persons to breastfeed. I saw a child in a clinic, it's kind of funny. And the child was drinking milk and eating bread, and drinking milk and eating bread. So it was kind of strange for my eyes, but it shows that it can happen. Once the child is sucking, the breast milk is produced.
Now again, earlier on, before you came in, Miss Wilson actually touched on some points. Now some persons might be on the outside listening to you. Let them know for real why it is necessary, you know, to breastfeed, you know, the value, you know, the nutritional value compared to what's in the store cans or the powdered milk. You know, I don't want to call no brands. Hence the reason, you know. I don't know.
Understood.
So let them know. Give them a logical explanation why.
Well, there is so many benefits. There's benefits for mother that has been stated and benefits for child. And that's some of the things we bring to the parents when we tell them about breastfeeding. Breastfeeding builds that bond like I heard LOUISA spoke about. It definitely, there's nothing else that brings that bond between mother and child. The mother starts to understand her child. The child starts to understand the mother, get to know the mother, look in the eyes. You see children look into the mother's eyes when they are breastfeeding. So it builds that bond. It also puts the mother's womb back in place.
Oh, yeah?
It does, because when the mother breastfeeds, it kind of contracts the womb, and the womb goes back to original size and goes back in place. So that's a benefit for the mother.
That's good.
It is very economical, and we cannot even stress on that enough, because a study was done, and some persons do their local study when they go to the grocery store and they compare the formula cost and the amount of feeds that a child have, and we say, okay, you buy a tin of milk, and sometimes I ask the parents, you buy a tin of milk, what's the cost? So the good ones might cost to $40-something, and then how many times do you feed that child? Sometimes 2-3 times a day. And how long does that milk last? 1 week.
True.
But the breast milk is economical. You don't pay for it. You don't have to warm it up. You don't have to sterilize it. We just tell mothers that if you know you have been doing your chores, just gently clean the breast nicely with a rag, because the baby is an individual, so that the baby doesn't turn away from it, and you breastfeed your child. So that's the money part where they save the money. And I tell them, save the money, put it on an account, do something for the child. Breastfeeding also gives the child the best nutrition, meaning that before a child starts to get the immunization, the antibodies from mother is transferred to the child. So the mother gets the child gets the good part of the mother, which is the antibodies, so that the child is protected from infections, from eczemas, allergies, asthma, because of that transference of antibodies. For the mother also is that the mother has time to spend time with her baby. She has time to spend with her baby, and she sees her baby more intelligent. It is shown that despite the formulas trying to mimic breast milk with something they call the DHA, which is something that's found in breast milk, mother's milk, the formula company has put that in, but the mother has that naturally, and that actually makes the child more intelligent.
Fine.
The child brain is developing better. The child is more receptive. You see these children, they are so bouncy, their skin so nice and so clear. They are bright, intelligent children because they are breastfed. Now, don't get me wrong. The child is bottle fed doesn't mean the child is not intelligent.
True.
But the start of breastfeeding, because the child's system, that's what the child's system can take. It puts the child in a better place to develop and grow better.
Sometimes I was told last time I read an article that the child's stomach is as big as a walnut, right?
Yes, it is.
As big as a walnut.
It is.
But sometimes you see babies just latching on and just have that breast for the longest while, like, all that will go into way.
It does. And we show, another thing we show in the clinic is that when the child is born, the stomach is almost the size of a marble. And as the child grows older, it gets like a golf ball, gets like a big egg, and like a walnut kind of thing, like a peach. So children, overfeeding a child is not necessary. Now, what you saying is that when you see a child is sucking and sucking, it means that the child has to suck for the milk to come out. That's a hard job. Because the nipple has these tiny little holes, and the child has to suck the milk out of that to full their belly. So some children, the younger the child might get tired and might take a rest. Not that necessarily the child is filled, it's just that the action, the whole process is a little too much for the child at a certain age. As the child gets older, more mature, realize the child can take a heavier feed, and the milk is different at that time. The quality of the milk is different at that time. So they really have to suck for the milk to come out.
Now, there's persons, they want to breastfeed the child or children, but the thing is that work has them caught up. You understand? They can't juggle both.
They cannot.
You understand? Being there to breastfeed the child, but they have to be. Imagine sometimes you actually see the breast actually lick. It
does.
So when that happens, what does that say when I see the nipples?
The breast licking?
Yeah.
The thing is that if the child is close to the mother has a foot of a child, you get a licking happening. We have not arrived yet in the ministry as to putting everything in place for what you just spoke about, going back to work and the whole system in place so that it protects a mother if the mother wants to breastfeed, because the mother has to work, and based on the labor laws, the mother cannot stay past a certain time on maternity leave, so the mother has to go back to work. But there are things in place in terms of teaching them how to store. You can store the breast milk. The breast milk can be stored for up to 6 months in a separate fridge.
I think we spoke about whatever.
The breast pump.
The pump.
Yeah, the pump. I heard that part. And it was interesting. It's like, and Louisa rightly said, there are different breast pumps. Persons choose the most expensive ones based on marketing. Persons based on cost, persons go for the low-end ones. But we also tell persons you can express not with your 2 fingers. So we show them in the clinic to use their hands. They massage the breast because remember the milk is in ducts. So the massaging the breast or maybe a warm rag, and then we ask them to massage the breast right through, and then they start to express from the areola, which is the black part, not the nipple, because it can crack if you give too much pressure on the nipple. Okay. So they start to express, and we also want persons to know expression doesn't just happen when you are stressed out, up and about. You have to be in a relaxed position because there's a hormone called oxytocin and there's another one called prolactin, which one causes the letdown, one causes the production. So if you are not relaxed, so we ask persons to sit in a place where you relax, maybe somewhere you hear music, somewhere you hear the baby cooing, whatever it may be, so that the milk starts to flow. Just like what you just said, that a mother will be just there and the milk starts to flow. It means that at some point she maybe remember her baby. True. And then the milk starts to flow. So if you can get yourself to that relaxed position, expressing the milk to store it is easier than you have to try to go through that motion and you all over the place.
I want to ask you another question. I know some persons, they have kids, right? While they want to breastfeed, the kid just refuse to take that breast milk. Like that's just a no-no. Why is it?
We have these exceptional cases, and like I tell them, and we want to be mindful and support persons. Sometimes we listen to everybody's story and then we go right back into where it started. Because I have seen mothers at the hospital, and depends on what is around, or the amount of information that was given at the antenatal clinic. You have mothers that are not ready for breastfeeding in terms of the tire. I see one mother trying to struggle to put her breast out based on the fancy nightie that she bought. So the whole process of the baby's crying and you panicking, especially for the new mothers, you just go into formula. Also persons to support you during that time to tell you, yes, your colostrum, you're not seeing the colostrum there because we have delay. And I've heard persons say that they had delays for days. And just imagine not feeding your child for days. So they have challenges. And then for somebody to be there with them, show them the different positioning, show them how it is done, and then that happens. So what happens is that persons give up, and I would if I had no support. Persons give up and then they tell you the baby didn't want the breast, or just not, they doing it, they started it, it was initiated, they went home, they had work to go to maybe, or they had chores to do and nobody to help them. So they decided, okay, I need to stop because I have other stuff to do. Where is the support? So it has to do with a lot past just the baby sucking the breast. It really has to do with a lot of support. So you find mothers, sometimes I interview them, and trust me, there are cases that the baby might just not want the milk. Okay. But there are cases that when I go down into it, I realize it's just support. Somebody helping them so that they can sit and breastfeed comfortably. Somebody teaching them the different positions so that they can be seated comfortably and not have so much pain and stop the whole process of breastfeeding. So it can be many, many, many factors that persons stop breastfeeding a child at a young age.
All right. Hey, we have 10 minutes until the hour of 11 o'clock. I know while we at it, of course, folks, the conversation this morning is breastfeeding. After all, breastfeeding week. Yeah, was from last week up until.
Yes.
Anything you want to highlight while you at it? Anything that you have to touch, like persons need to know?
Need to know. Like I said, the benefits, a lot of persons, I don't want to assume that everybody knows the benefits, but the benefits of breastfeeding is what makes you understand why you want to breastfeed. Benefits for child, keeps the child healthy, away from infections, prevents the child from getting childhood diseases. It gives the mother a chance to save her money. It gives that bond between mother and child. It helps the mother, prevent the mother. And another thing I didn't mention was, it kind of makes you space your pregnancy, because when you're breastfeeding, some people, I say some, their period is delayed. Okay. So it gives you enough time for your body to go back into what it used to be, because when you're pregnant, a lot of things happen physiologically. So it gives you enough time for your body to go back into place. So it's a delaying period, and then you have some mothers, they have enough time to decide if I'm ready for another pregnancy. But if you're going to bottle feed and period comes, it is not a form of contraceptive. Please go to your wellness center.
Right, I like that.
Please go to your wellness center. It's just that we tell people, if you're breastfeeding exclusively and you're not adding anything else, your body sometimes the period is delayed, and you have an opportunity to decide what you want in terms of raising your children. So we want persons to remember that the benefits are endless for you, for the baby. And we also want persons to know that because now we are trying to promote breastfeeding so much, that we want them to understand that they can go to the health center and speak to the nurse, speak to somebody that can encourage them and tell them, because as the agencies, the international agencies really want to support breastfeeding for 1,000 days. And that's from birth to 2 years and beyond. That's what you calculate that. So it means that even when you finish with the antenatal clinic, you deliver baby, you come to the other clinics, and we still want, when the baby is up to 2 years and more, we can still give you support in terms of, you have challenges, you can come to us. You have issues, you could come to us. You have questions, you can come to us. We want the parents and the community, whoever is your person advising you, to come to us, and we can advise them or speak to them or listen to what is going on, the challenges, so that we can support every young mother in breastfeeding.
Very nice.
Sharon, let me ask a question. What advice would you give to breastfeeding mothers on the types of foods that they should at least engage in when they're breastfeeding, just to help out, the overall breastfeeding process to them? Because many times, taking care of a child, the house, and working, you tend not to eat right, and you tend to lapse, when it comes to your diet and so on. So what advice do you have for them, or what kind of food do you recommend that they try to consume during that time?
Well, I remember in times past, in my early days as a nutritionist, it was also said that even an underweight mother can breastfeed because the milk is still being produced. As to the quality of milk, it might be different compared to somebody who is well nourished. So I ask mothers that, sometimes we are not prepared for pregnancy, but it is here, and we have to change a lot of our things in our lives. So you need to eat healthy in terms of a balanced meal. You need to make sure you have not just bread alone or rice alone or provisions alone, but make it well-rounded. You need some vegetables in there.
So would that increase their milk supply?
It will. Once you eat properly, you drink a lot of water, you're well hydrated, your milk supply will be there. You can breastfeed, but as to the continuation of it, it might hinder it if you're not eating properly.
But let me ask you a question quickly. Are there any cons to breastfeeding? Because all what you spoke about, plenty of pros, but are there any cons?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
And if I know, I would not even speak about it, because I love to speak about breastfeeding so much because of the benefits that breastfeeding provides. But no. And if a parent, like Louisa said earlier, if somebody has is instructed not to breastfeed, we tell persons not to breastfeed. So if a mother is HIV positive, medical reasons. If a mother is taking medication and the doctor instructs that you don't breastfeed, fine. These are the exceptions. But normally, the challenges, challenges are every day in our lives. So we just tell persons, come speak to us about the challenges. Speak to us and tell us.
I think the only reason somebody might not want to breastfeed is just because of the appearance, the nice chest. The cleavage and all,
Not breastfeed or breastfeed?
Not breastfeeding.
Because I used to think that not breastfeeding for the breast falling, like Louisa said, like a reef or like a pair of stockings.
Ellen told me it was a reef. I never knew that saying before.
But a reef is a pair of slippers, right?
Yeah.
Slippers breast.
That was the Christmas reef.
Yeah.
So people used to say they don't want their breast to sag or fall.
Right, like a slipper.
But
a reef.
A young lady spoke to me at a business place, and she said, can I breastfeed past a certain time? And we tried to figure out why she wanted to breastfeed, and she said because of all the cleavage she got during breastfeeding. When her breast was engorged and full, she loved the look. Unlike somebody who's saying that the child is breastfeeding and the child doesn't want to stop and the breast will fall. This one is bigger than that one. And as I'm speaking, I just say maybe the corn might be people saying that the babies start to get too addicted to them. So that might be a con for some person. Some person I hear, we had a breastfeeding workshop last week Tuesday, and somebody saying, yes, I love breastfeeding, and there were testimonials, but she's saying that baby, you cannot go nowhere, the baby is always on you, stuff like that, the baby gets addicted to you. So that might be a con, but some people, if they're not working, might see it as a good thing.
Sometimes you want to execute the task, the chore, do all the chores that child want to be on your
they do.
Some people say they have to just sit in the breast back for them.
Oh my goodness. But I want persons to always remember, like LOUISA, we're going back to the nutrition part. Please try to eat properly. You are breastfeeding a baby, so the baby is extracting from you, and you need the nourishment for yourself also, not just for production of milk. You need to be nourished while you're breastfeeding the baby. So try to eat our local. There's so many provisions around the place. There vegetables, you can plant your own. You don't have to buy some of, especially in the rural areas. We don't have to buy. We can plant. We can do some backyard gardening.
Now, I like what you're doing there, because a lot of parents, when after they've given birth to the kids, they think they can actually eat almost anything. And I like what you're doing there. Healthy.
Yes,
because
healthy.
You have somebody actually living off you, right? In terms of taking all your nutrients and all that, the intakes. You have to be very careful as to what you put in your body.
I agree.
Because you have to feed your child.
I agree.
Now, if you love yourself like you love your child, come to think of it, you would take all the precautionary measures so you can eat a healthy lifestyle.
I agree.
So stay off there all them oily foods, on them kind of things.
Fatty foods, fried foods.
Yes. You understand?
Because remember, after you stop breastfeeding the baby, you have that body to deal with. And if the body has gained too much weight, then you have chronic conditions on the horizon.
There's something called baby fat.
Yes, there's baby fat, but breastfeeding is supposed to take out that baby fat.
Well,
so if you're breastfeeding exclusively and eating properly, you're supposed to lose your baby fat. That's one of the benefits.
Love handles as well.
Everything. I mean, the body was designed for that. So we just have to understand that if the body doesn't get the bad things, it will do away with what it has there, and it will use up the energy it has stored for whatever we need daily. But if you put too much, it will just continue storing, and it will not be to the size that we want. So despite that, because when somebody's lactating means the child is breastfeeding, you have that extra need for energy. But it doesn't mean that you eat the wrong foods and put on extra weight, and then after the baby has stopped breastfeeding, that you don't know what to do. So if you eat the right amount, I mean, yes, you're supposed to eat like extra 200 calories, which is like maybe an extra piece of chicken might give you about 200 calories. That is what we're proposing, not go and eat endless KFC because you feel that you want to fill up that gap and that hole, or extra fried food, whole day you're frying and you're preparing stuff. We don't want that. We want persons to eat healthy.
Now, another thing again, while we spoke about the food, we spoke about all the pros, what about actually that breast from you guys female, keeping it healthy, keeping it clean, keeping it, because the child has to, persons actually use the bra. How often when you breastfeeding should you keep that bra on or change that bra? Because come to think of it, it might get. So let's talk about that.
Good question. And that's one of the things that hinders breastfeeding for some children. If the bra is not changed often, meaning that you cannot have a bra for the entire week because you might sweat in it. The baby might be turned away from the perspiration and the smell, and then you would say that the baby is not breastfeeding. But some of these things, sweat might run down to the nipple, and then the taste of the breast milk might be different, so a child might turn away from that. So we asking persons, like I said earlier, if you are busy, you have been busy, your child is got up from a nap, you take a rag, a clean rag, wet rag, and you clean the breast. Wipes. But something that doesn't have any scent or anything, any chemicals or any thing added, so that the baby doesn't, because the baby's sucking that part of you. So you can use a rag, water, you clean up yourself, and you breastfeed your baby.
Nice.
Okay, change your bra. You need to change your bra because you'll be sweating, and all the odors that be accumulated in that bra for the day needs to come out, so that the baby knows that I'm in a clean, safe environment. And also, not just scents and odors, we have bacteria. And then the baby can get an infection based on you not proper hygiene.
That's right. Your feeding pads.
That's right. So proper hygiene is also important when you're breastfeeding, so we cannot forget that. And that was an excellent question.
All right, guys.
I just want to make one comment. A lot of breastfeeding mothers, they tend to have certain habits, and directly after giving birth, or I won't say directly after, but after a while, they tend to go back to these same habits, like drinking alcohol, smoking, and all this kind of stuff. And I want mothers, breastfeeding mothers, to be wary of these habits. And so on. These things can really affect the child. And, you know, it's something that you can get out for the sake of the child. And we're really encouraging breastfeeding mothers, if you consume a lot of alcohol or you have that problem with alcohol as well as smoking, you should at least stop the habit during breastfeeding, especially for the sake of your child, the child's health also, as well as your own health. So think of it that way, and we're really urging breastfeeding mothers to stop the habit during breastfeeding.
Well said.
Alan?
Yeah, guys, it's 11 o'clock in St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean. All right. Any final comments from you guys?
Shelan, any comments?
Anything
Just to recognize that we are still observing breastfeeding, because it's observed for the entire month. So, like I said, go to your wellness centers, you get the information there, and we are here to support you.
Okay.
Thank you so very much, Ulan.
You're welcome anytime, guys.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming, for making the extra or the concerted effort to be here.
You're welcome.
To disseminate information. After all, it is what it is. And look, a lot of persons are saying they do that for the SBA. I never knew that.
Well,
but it's very nice, very nice. All right. Came out here dishing information, very good. Of course, I want to thank you guys on Facebook, all you guys in Radio Land, hey, wherever you are, the north, the south, the east, the west, hey, locally, regionally, all you guys over in the diaspora. I want to thank you guys for always tuning in to Super 88.5 FM for Casualty 911. Remember, it's on every Monday between the hours of 10 and of course 11. I want to thank you, Miss Wilson, for always being here. As long as you can make it, you're here, and we're very grateful for that. All right, you ladies, I want to wish you guys an amazing day. Likewise, the week.
Thank you. Thank
All right. Hey guys, tune in next week for another Casualty 911.
Casualty 911, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Super FM talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say